Hi! Okay, today we're going to be designing my YouTube banner because I haven't done that yet. I got the canvas ready. Also, before we start, look at my epic Minecraft drip. I got that eat, sleep, mine, repeat. Got that creeper earrings and got a matching bow. Isn't that sick? Okay, well, let's just get into it. Hello, voiceover me here. I've cut out a lot of my earlier idea generation because I wanted to make this video short. Well, I mean, my video turned out to be 25 minutes long because I ended up recording like 10 hours of footage. I mean, clearly, that means I was happy to make the banner, right? So I thought about my comic while making ideas for this banner. I'm creating worlds, characters, and stories, right? So my persona needs a little workshop. I wanted to make sure that I had stars somewhere in the design because one, my persona has a star theme, and two, I just love stars in the universe around me so much that it reflects in my vision. There's also that trope in anime where characters have stars in their eyes because they're really excited. I personally like that cliche. I think it's pretty cool. One of my earlier designs had hanging plants and fairy lights, so I ended up including them in the final thumbnail idea. I wish I spent more time in the thumbnailing stage though, just so I didn't have to waste so much time in making designs that I would eventually scrap. I'll explain more later when we get to that stage. I've added important elements of my comic into the design already. I added a few characters, though none of the designs are quite final yet. Even the bin or computer is a character. I created shelves so I could add star-shaped handles to them, and I also needed somewhere to put a computer because most of my work happens on it. The shelves are pretty cute, so I kept them in the final. I also added a big bench for my persona to work on, and the little plushie she's working on is also a character. Okay, let's check in with real-time me. Okay, so I've made the picture bigger to fill in the canvas. I've run into a problem. My idea is both too small and too big at the same time. I searched up what the dimensions of a YouTube banner should be. Turns out that each device has its own dimensions. All this really means is that the most important elements should be within this peach area because every device can see this part at least. So all I really need to do is add more details. So I might enlarge the room so make it look like I'm actually in a room rather than just like a plain 2D thing. Yeah, I don't know, I might add some hanging plants like the other idea, and there's fairy lights. That seems like a good idea. Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes. So now I'm working on that room idea. This is where, in hindsight, I should have spent more time on the thumbnailing. I spent a long time creating a whole room with details like hanging plants, ladders, and windows, and I ended up scrapping most of it because right at the end, I was really unhappy with what I'd made. I ended up moving the workshop outside. So now, all the room details didn't even make sense. I couldn't even keep them. Yeah, so if I just spent more time playing with ideas before committing to one, I would have realized earlier that I wanted the workshop to be outside. Also, I wouldn't have spent so much time zooming into details and instead focused on the larger picture. Well, I know that now. Hopefully I remember to apply that new knowledge to my next piece. I was able to keep some of that work into the final, like that plant and the shelves. I spent so much time on it, I just ended up keeping them around. They fill in the space pretty well, so that's good. So because we're in a room right now, I thought adding a simple one-point perspective would make sense, and it would be easy. So the shelves in the window all have some 3D-ness now. I made a drawing of another painting I've made. I wanted to include it because it was one of the first drawings I'd ever made of my comics world. It's important, so I wanted to add it into the final. There's also another painting similar to it and made around the same time, so I added that right at the end. It was fun to make the little plushies of my characters. I managed to find a way to keep them in and add more. Yay! So far I've made about 7 characters, maybe 8 if you count 3 bear cubs as one character. I know that sounds a bit random right now, but I'm working on a video where I introduce my comics lore, yippee! There's still heaps I need to work on, so even that new video might be outdated by the time I upload it. But that's alright. This channel is all about my process and documenting it. Maybe I'll come back one day in the future and see how different my comic ended up being. Yeah, so here's what I meant by wasting time. I spent like 20 minutes making hanging chains and patterns for hanging plants that I'll end up scrapping. Though I guess it needed to happen for my final piece to exist. That's what my brother said anyway. I think he was just trying to make me feel better. I also redrew my persona like 3 times, and that arm, oh my god, it was giving me a lot of trouble. Sometimes you have to push your way through to get to the other side. I'm definitely happy with the final, but yeah, that was a tough time. I probably should have taken a break. Okay, time for another update from real-time me. Alright, so this is what I've come up with after my last update. I've made it into a room, so there's like a one-point perspective happening now. Most of the important stuff is still in here, so I fit in my name like in the peach part because I was like, that's really important. And also my persona. I added a plant here. I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing recently, so I've been putting a lot of plants in the corner, fill in space, and I guess that came through here in, you know, this hanging plant situation that's also in Animal Crossing. So right now the edges look a bit bare bones, so I might add like a window here, or like, I don't know, a ladder or something. I did say that I was going to add the fairy lights, so I'll do that. Yeah, I'm just gonna play around and see what I like, and I'll update you later. Unfortunately, that was the last update I made in real time. I just wanted to focus on finishing up. We're finally at the lineup for the final piece! So here's the last time I redrew my persona. I think she turned out pretty cute. I used the last sketch as a guide for the liner. It was a good way to measure out how big everything needed to be. And then I realized the bench looked way too plain for my liking, so I added a cover over it, like those market stalls during festivals that sell snacks and goodie bags. Yeah, I reckon it suits the outside workshop idea. I used an ellipse tool to make the curved parts at the bottom. I knew I wouldn't be able to make them perfect curves with my hand, so I used the tool instead. It did save a lot of headache. I think the marker idea was still on my mind because I'd recently finished Sharktober, a drawing challenge where you draw sharks in the month of October. Yeah, I didn't finish it in October, my challenge bled over into November. The challenge I did had a prompt every other day, but I still didn't have enough time. It's hard to draw every day, especially if you decide to make every piece a finished one. Anyway, one of my pieces has a shark market, and that was probably in the back of my mind while making this banner. The bench looked a bit bare at the bottom, and that's when I decided to add stools into the mix. Now it really looks like a market stall. As you may know, most of my work happens on the computer because I am a digital artist, so the tools of the trade sign has a tablet, pen and mouse. The tablet I use is an Intuos Pro Medium by Wacom. It's a screenless tablet. I honestly prefer a tablet without a screen because I've already built up that hand-eye coordination for it. And I just prefer looking at my computer screen anyway. I didn't add my keyboard because there wasn't enough room. But just know I do use that Control Z all the time. I also spent a long time making this vending machine. It's probably because I wasn't taking enough breaks. Again, using the rulers did save a lot of time though. Here I'm redrawing the shelves but with a different perspective. It's like the camera shifted up a little so you can see some of the top surfaces. I actually have 2 monitors, but I only included one in the final to just keep it simple. I actually built my own PC. Well, I mean, my brother did most of the work. I just researched and got all the parts. I'm still proud of my computer. I use it all the time. I made it, I'm not sure actually. It was definitely after 2020 because I didn't have it while I was in high school. I'm pretty sure I built it in like January of 2021 because I used to come home from uni to do all my work at home. Well, anyway, I love my computer. She's the best. I saw a YouTuber the other day who named his sewing machine, so maybe I should name my computer. If you have any cute ideas, let me know. My computer is all black, but it has a RGB RAM and fans. Like an epic gamer. Anyway, here's some of those characters I was talking about earlier. One of them has a cool magic staff, but I wasn't sure where to put it. I opted to put it on the inside hand because it wouldn't be jutting out too much that way. Now I'm drawing a wall behind the workshop. I didn't want my persona to be out there in the wilderness, so I made a wall and cement pathing. Now it looks like she's a part of a larger market. Kind of. Maybe next time I'll make a stall a bit smaller and add other stalls run by characters. That would be fun. The bushes were so fun to draw. They were just blobs. They look like clouds a little. I drew spruce trees in the background because, well, my comic has them. It's definitely a tree shape I'm comfortable with. They're kind of just big triangles. As for the other trees, I saw a few drawings like this on Pinterest, so I wanted to take inspiration from them. They were lineless work, so it was a little hard to translate them into lines, but I think they turned out really well. One thing I wanted to mention was that I wanted to get better at drawing holistically. I want to get better at drawing character designs. What I really want to focus on is pushing shape language, which means I need to practice anatomy more often. Of course, almost all artists say this. If I knew more about how the body works, I could learn where I can push the shapes to get cooler silhouettes. And this could mean my design choices will be cooler. I want all my characters to look unique and identifiable, even if they were silhouettes. My characters so far all have different body types, so that's good. I made 3 of my characters male because I wanted to get better at drawing men. I'm not too confident in my male drawing skills. It's a side effect of only drawing women for 10 years. But if my main characters have a majority of men, naturally that means I'll draw more, right? I will definitely add side characters with diverse body shapes. It would make the world look more lived in and cool. I want to draw like Ryuke Kui, sorry if I mispronounced that, the author of Delicious in Dungeon. Damn, like so many body types. And they all look so awesome. Like you can tell that she loves drawing people. And I want to be like that too. I want my world to look so cool and like lived in and awesome. I also want to develop a style for the comic. My rendered style was like way too much to keep up with for a comic. My coloring process is a bit intense and keeping up with all that work would be crazy. I spend a lot of time in the line art stage. I get frustrated and tired, so I just rush the color job. And that is not fair to my work. I want my coloring stage to be chill and take the time it needs. A way I could practice is coloring straight off the sketch. Maybe this means cleaning up the sketch a little more, but it could mean skipping all the line art and saving time. and using that extra time for coloring. Currently, I like Carl Delmal's work. Oh my god, I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that too. I like the way that they use different angles to put focus on the story in their works. It's pretty cool. I like the style too. The characters are all really simple, so it might be easier to draw them in perspective. All the people in their work show so much emotion too. I definitely want to practice this type of style or maybe incorporate some stuff into my own style. I want to get better at composition too. It's one thing to learn what a tree looks like, but another to understand how it works together in a larger forest. I think a fun way to do this is to make landscape ideas for the comic. Of course, I don't have to use them in the finals, but I think it would be motivating enough for me to learn something hard. If I can draw big landscapes with a touch of magic, I think I'll be happy enough to keep doing it. Another thing, it is so hard to choose what style I want to have. Every art style has its own pros and cons, so I'm not really sure what I want. Maybe I can make a video about exploring styles. I'll find a couple of artists with different styles, try to copy them, and maybe incorporate them into an art piece. There's just a lot of things I want to do and always so little time. Anyway, let's get back to the banner. The coloring process was pretty frustrating at the beginning because it wasn't looking the way it was supposed to, so I just wiped the slate clean and started again. It worked out this time, so that's good. I wanted a pink, blue, and green color palette. I used orange to supplement the pink because I think it suited the piece. There were two cool colors, so two warm colors would make it really balanced, right? A trick I like to use to unify the colors in my palette is to get the background color, in this case the blue sky, and make a new layer and paint the whole canvas with it. Then I lower the opacity of that background layer and pick colors from there. This is when I have base colors already set up. It's mostly for the shading section of the coloring stage. It's a quick and cheap way to get the intended effect. Some people leave it to the end, but personally I prefer the palette to be unified while I'm painting. This way, if I want to add more colors, I can do it in line with the rest of the canvas. It's pretty useful to use a limited color palette. It makes it way easier to choose colors that work together. And because the palette was so limited, I need to change my persona's hair to pink. I did want to make her hair pink the first time I designed her, but I couldn't figure out a color palette that worked with it. I wanted to keep her shirt green, so I ended up using brown for her hair. This might change later. I might just make her hair pink after all. So here I basically made my own filter. I kind of just made a few blue and orange layers and stacked them together with low opacity and pretty much just made my own filter. This way I could make all the colors more unified and also look really cute. I also tried to do some shading like one place at a time, like the potted plant and underneath the desk. This turned out to be way too hard. I was making it way too complicated, and that's why there's so much footage of me trying to shade. Yeah, what I was doing was just way too complicated. I was selecting small specific areas and then trying to shade them all at once. Like it was just too much. It was not a good way to tackle this. I'd say it was good practice for what I eventually did do for the shading, so that's good. Yeah, so a lot of this piece had me restarting. But if restarting works, then it works, right? I tried to do the lighting by first using a dark color on the whole piece and then carving out the light with an eraser, I very quickly, dropped that technique because this was way too confusing for me. Instead, I made a couple of blue overlay layers and painted the shadows instead. This makes more sense to me. It's how I usually render my pieces anyway. I like adding highlights last if I remember to add them, that is, because they're last. I didn't realize how much I zoom in and out during my process until I tried to edit this video. The time lapses are 10 times the normal speed, so it's like borderline impossible to watch. I'll try different ways to record, or maybe I should just stop zooming in so much. Yeah. I hope the banner looks good when I upload it. I haven't seen it yet, so hopefully I don't have to change anything later. It would be a big pain if I need to edit a fully rendered piece. And that's because I usually merge most of my layers at the end, because I want the file to be a bit smaller. I might have left them though, hopefully. I liked painting the bushes in the background and the moss on the wall. They look so fluffy and bright. Now I'm trying to finish off the shading, so I'm focusing on the market stall cover, coloring every individual shape. The lighting is coming from like the right side, but up and at a high angle, but it's also kind of like a late afternoon type of thing. So I kept that in mind while trying to render everything. All the shading is on the left because the light is on the right. And yeah, there was a lot of individual pieces to color in. And this is what I mean by like my coloring process being a bit intense. Because I drew so many different things, I had to color them all in, and it took a long time. This drawing here is the one I was mentioning before, the drawing of one of my earlier paintings of my comics world. The one right next to it on the left is also the one I was talking about, where I made them at similar times, so I just wanted to include both of them. They're important to the development of my comics, so I really did want to keep them in the banner. I like the effect I made with the shading. I used the gouache brush on Clip Studio Paint to paint in the shadows and make them slightly like disappear. I really liked the look of it, and because I was practicing, I figured out that I liked this gouache look and I kept it. I quickly colored in my little characters. These are not the exact colors though. I just went along with what the piece already had. I didn't want them to stand out too much because I wanted my persona to be the main focus. I really like the style of this piece. I might do another one in a similar style, like continue on the piece in a way. The colors look really good. I like the idea that this is like a big market and this is only a small piece of it. And I don't know, I think the nature part turned out really well too. Maybe I should have added berries to the bushes, but I think it's alright without the berries, as it would have taken away too much of the focus. The clean bush style is plain enough that the market stall stands out. I did some really basic and simple shading of the mountains in the background, literally just one layer of shading, because I wanted all the focus to be on the front, not the background. And here I was doing the little bush. I really enjoyed doing it. I know it's such a tiny part of the whole piece, but it was really fun. I used the gouache brush on the moss and bushes as well because, like I said before, I really like the texture. It looks so good and I want to do it again. And now it's all about the cleanup. Finishing off areas like my persona, the little character plushies, and changing the line art color. I prefer changing the line art to a darker shade of the base colors because it looks so much softer and it's more easier on the eyes. In rendered works, I like the softer look. Well, it's nearing the end of the video. Thank you for watching, especially if you watched the whole way through. That's crazy. Thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more. I wish you the best, and I'll see you in the next video.